Are you ready?
You better get ready.
Get ready to dive into the heart of local sports action. Broadcasting live from the heartland of Missouri. Welcome to the SEMO Scramble on SEMO ESPN.
Get set.
Because it's time to catch up on the latest local highlights, in-depth analysis, and interviews from the Boot Heel and beyond.
Marcus said, here we go.
And good Saturday morning. It's the SEMO Scramble here on SEMO ESPN Radio. Glad to have you with us. Rusty Hendricks here in the SEMO ESPN studios. That's 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and online at SEMOESPN.com. Hope everyone has a good weekend planned ahead. A lot of baseball going on. Of course, we're going to talk a lot of baseball today. We'll talk about the Cardinals here in just a moment. I'm going to have Kareem Hawk on. He's a guy that he's a host at Birds on the Farm. He's a contributor at CardinalsProspects.com. So very plugged into the Cardinals prospects, and also a guy that's plugged into the MLB draft that it's going to be coming up Sunday, coming up tomorrow, 5 p.m. tomorrow, and we'll get into that with him. Who could the Cardinals take with the number 5 pick? There's been a ton of different mock drafts that people have put together. It's starting to come together as a consensus, potentially, who the Cardinals may pick. We'll see if he agrees. And, again, there's a lot of things that could change, could happen within the top 4 picks, so a lot can happen there. We'll get into a little Babe Ruth baseball, a little catfish baseball last night as well. And then if we have time, we're going to talk a little bit more about, there was an all-star selection last night. A gentleman by Jacob Mizorowski for the Brewers, a rookie. And we'll get into that. Was his selection warranted? All right. We'll talk about that here coming up as well. All right. Let's get into a little Cardinals baseball. Time is winding out here on the first half, if you will. All-Star break coming up. Looking forward to that. The Home Run Derby. Have you looked at the lineup? I mean, I'll be honest. It doesn't look overly appealing to me. I mean, it just doesn't. So we'll see. Hopefully that'll be good. The one guy I do want to see, Cal Raleigh, he's in there, the big dumper. He's been having a fun time. You have James Wood, all right, good young star there for the Washington Nationals. Byron Buxton, Ronald Acuna Jr., okay. Jazz Chisholm for the Yankees. I mean, I don't care about that. Brent Rooker, Junior Cabanero, O'Neal Cruz? So, yeah, I mean, again, a couple of guys, Raleigh, Acuna, maybe Wood a little bit, but other than that, not overly appealing. But that's going to be on Monday, 7 o'clock on ESPN for the Home Run Derby. All-Star game on Tuesday. A little more interested on that. Again, we'll get into a couple of Cardinals that has a case to make the All-Star game, pitching-wise, that's not in it. And then also guys that have backed out. So we'll get into that here coming up as well. All right, so last night, though, Cardinals opening up their final series before the All-Star break at home against the Atlanta Braves. And it was Grant Holmes versus Matthew Liberatore. That was the matchup last night. Libby just didn't have it. He did not have his good stuff for whatever reason last night, and the Braves took advantage of a team that they have not been playing well. A 41-52 record this year. They're 4th in the NL East. 4th, a team that, I expected to be a playoff team, or at least fighting for a playoff spot. But they did not they have not had a good season thus far. But here's some of the highlights from last night. The first one, it was a big one. Now, the Braves already was up 1-0 on an Austin Riley hit that knocked in Acuna. But this was really the big story last night for the Braves. This guy, their catcher in Sean Murphy. This is courtesy of the Atlanta Braves radio network.
Murphy, and he mashes one. Deep left center field. Put some heat into that baby. It's a 2-run homer by Murphy. Long gone into the bleachers. 3-0 Braves.
So Murphy, a big home run there. So that was his first of the night. What do you mean first of the night? Well, he came up later in the third inning. The Braves are up 4-2 at this point. And Sean Murphy does it again.
The 3-2, and Murphy with a deep drive to center. He might have gone deep again. Goodbye! Straightaway center field. What an at-bat. On the 13th pitch of the at-bat, he launches one to dead center and out of the yard for his second homer of the game. It's 5-2 Braves in the third.
So, yeah, if I'm playing the opposing team's highlights, that's probably not a good sign, right? So the Braves, 2 home runs for Sean Murphy. You know, we have a few highlights we'll give you for the Cardinals. This is courtesy of the Cardinals TV network, FanDuel Sports Midwest. Alec Burleson getting the Cardinals on the board.
Tonight for Alec. A shot to right field. That's headed for the corner. Donovan's going to score. Burleson around first, on his way to second. We got a 3-1 game.
So Burleson makes it a 3-1 game there. Getting things going. How about Wilson Contreras a little bit later?
Newbar nodded for the team lead. Too short and through for a base hit. Burleson an odd route to third. He's going to come home and score to make it a 3-2 game.
So 3-2. Okay. Cardinals coming back. You think, all right, we got something going here. And not too long after that, Pedro Paez with a big hit as well to score a couple.
Right center field. That's going to score 2. Paez ambushes the first pitch. We got a 2-run game.
6-4. The Cardinals added one more, but that was it. All of the runs for both teams scored in the first 3 innings. The bullpens were fantastic last night for these two teams. I think just one hit given up by the Braves bullpen after the third inning. And no, I think only maybe 3 hits. Let's see, I can find that out for you. Only 3 hits by the Cardinals. So Liberatore lasted just 3 innings, gave up 9 hits, 6 runs, a walk, and no strikeouts, the 2 home runs. So not a great outing for him. His ERA goes over 4 now, 4.13. But O'Brien, 2 big innings. Swanson, those 2 guys look really good. And in their appearances, Romero for an inning. And then Phil Maton came in for the final out. A 1.83 ERA for Phil Maton on the season. So Braves get the win. Cardinals couldn't come all the way back. 6-5, the loss. Right now, they're 5.5 back in the standings as far as the division. 5.5. The Cubs got walloped last night by the Yankees. Cody Bellinger hit 3 home runs for the Yanks, of course, the former Cub. And Cardinals a game and a half back in the wild card. The Brewers continue to win. They won again last night. So a game and a half back in the wild card, 5.5 in the division. So some work to do. And are you excited for today? Are you excited? I can feel the excitement coming through. 1:15 start today. The Cardinals taking on the Braves, and Eric Fetty is on the mound. Boy, aren't you revved up, ready to go? 3-9 record, a 4.79 ERA. The Cardinals are, I think it's 5-13 in games that he has started this year. Woof. Even every other pitcher, Palante, Michaelis, Liberatore, even Gray, everyone else either has right at a 500 record when they pitch or better. Eric Fetty, though, when he pitches, the Cardinals are like 5-13. Ugh. So actually, the Braves don't have a pitcher as of right now. I'm just looking on the MLB website. They don't have a pitcher listed, so maybe it's a bullpen game for the Braves. Not entirely sure. Last night, Ali Marmol, after the game, as he ended up pulling Nolan Arenado again, dealing with some discomfort with that finger, the hand, and he talked after the game. He's like, some of the reporters like, do you just give this guy a break, the next couple of days and just let him get through the All-Star break? He's like, well, yeah, a normal human being I would, but for Arenado, a guy that fights to be in the lineup every day, I don't know, we'll see. So basically he was like, we're going to look at it, see what he feels like tomorrow, and go from there. So you do like that Arenado's fighting to get in there, but at some point you got to just be like, look, man, we got 2 days for the break. Just, you're good. We're not playing you. And that makes me think, too, is like, okay, why didn't you just throw this guy on the IL? He's had to miss in and out, hasn't been himself since he was injured. You could have put him on the IL, then he would have been ready to come back by the break anyway. But anyway, I digress. But Arenado, hopefully he's okay, and we'll see if he's in there today. But again, the MLB draft coming up on Sunday, 5 p.m. on MLB Network and ESPN. We're going to talk here in just a couple of minutes with Kareem Hawk, host of the Birds on the Farm and CardinalsProspects.com. Get his thoughts on the draft. I'm excited for that interview. But also, the MLB Futures game is today. So things have already started at Truist Park there in Atlanta. Last night they had the HBCU players come in and play. Brian Jordan, of course, the former Cardinal and Brave, a part of that. So that was last night. But again, the Futures game today, it's at 3 p.m. at Truist Park in Atlanta. You can watch it on MLB Network, MLB.com. J.J. Weatherholt is going to be a part of that for the St. Louis Cardinals. J.J. Weatherholt. And we have a little snippet from J.J. Weatherholt. And he interviewed media in Memphis, 2 days ago, and before he goes. And this is what J.J. said on the opportunity to play in the Futures game for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, it's great. I'm super excited just to represent the organization, like you said, and being able to kind of showcase that and just, put a good name on for the Cardinals and just go have some fun. The opportunity to catch up with some family and kind of just a cool event in the location, Atlanta, which is great, playing in Truist, another big league park. So it'll be a ton of fun. I'm definitely really excited.
All right, that was J.J. Weatherholt. He's excited, ready to go. And again, that'll be cool. You can check that out today. The Futures game, guy that's been tearing it up, moved up to AAA. We're going to talk about him a little bit later as well, getting his thoughts on being, moved up into AAA as well. But he's a guy that I want to ask Kareem, too, if maybe J.J. Weatherholt, when could we see him in the majors? Could it be next year that we see J.J. Weatherholt? Should he be playing the different position in the minors? So we'll see. But those are some of the things I want to talk about with Kareem Hawk here coming up. But Cardinals, we'll see. Can they find a way to salvage the game today and then find a way to win the series? You have Sonny Gray pitching on Sunday for the Cardinals. But again, Eric Fedde, I'm interested. I am interested to see how he does today. I'm not rooting against him by any means. Look, he's in there. I want him to do well. I want the Cardinals to do well. So, but I'm interested to see if this blows back in Mo's face at all because of the decision to continue to roll him out there. I do think he'll make an adjustment. I do think he'll be better. But the Braves lineup has some guys in there. Cunha, Riley, Olsen, Albies. They obviously Sean Murphy, if he's in there again today. They have some guys that can mash. So we'll see. Their pitching obviously has been a huge issue for the Braves, but we'll see what happens today, and hopefully the Cardinals can get some run support for Eric Fedde. Maybe early too, right? Get some early run support. Let him settle down a little bit. Give him a little cushion. Maybe early in the first inning. That would help things as well here today. So we'll see what the Cardinals can do. And again, a game and a half back in the wild card. It'd be great to maybe game a game before the break. Maybe get within a half game of the wild card before the break, and then make your run in the second half. Ivan Herrera working down underneath in AAA. He's expected to come back right after the All-Star break, so reinforcements are coming for the Cardinals. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to talk MLB Draft coming up. It's with Kareem Hawk. Stay with us. You're listening to the SEMO Scramble. Welcome back in. It is the SEMO Scramble here on SEMO ESPN Radio, 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and online, SEMOESPN.com. Talking a little bit of the MLB Draft. Have Kareem Hawk on. He's a host at the Birds on the Farm. He's also a contributor there at CardinalsProspects.com. You can find his work there. Also part of Dealing with the Cards podcast. So he does a little bit of everything, but a guy that focuses on the Cardinals farm system. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have him on to talk about the MLB Draft, because he's plugged in. He knows what's going on and has a good indications of, maybe what the Cardinals could do coming up on Sunday in the MLB Draft. So first of all, Kareem, thanks so much, man, for joining me. Again, I wanted to have you on to talk about the draft, which is tomorrow, 5 p.m. on MLB Network and ESPN. I'm excited. How about you?
Yeah, I'm excited as well. This is always my favorite time of the year. Just one day away from the 2025 MLB Draft. The Cardinals will be making 4 selections on day 1 of the draft. I'm pumped. Can't wait to see who the Cardinals end up selecting with those 4 picks and, later in the draft on day 2 as well. And, yeah, I really appreciate you having me on again this year.
Yeah, absolutely. We did it last year, and here coming up, I'll wait a little bit. Whenever we talk about the catching, I want to play a clip from last year, so you're going to kick out of that. But first thing here, look, I've seen a ton of mock drafts, a ton of chatter. I've seen all kinds of different scenarios, but seems like more and more consensus is coming out on who the Cardinals who are taking picking at number 5 might take. It's starting to be more consensus. So how do you see the draft going, though, and who do you think will be available for them at number 5?
Yeah, it seems like the most often connected player to the Cardinals at that 5 overall spot is prep shortstop Eli Willits. He's the son of former big leaguer Reggie Willits. So much like Ethan Holiday, he's got a big league dad, and he's also from Oklahoma. What sets him apart from some of the other prep shortstops in this year's class is that he'll just be 17 years old on draft day, and he won't turn 18 until December. And that's something the Cardinals have targeted when you look at their prep prospects that they have drafted recently. Baseball America had a piece recently, and they mentioned that the Cardinals had the lowest median age among high school draftees since 2020. So I think Willits would fit that sort of mold as a really young high school player that you could project to grow on. And, he's someone that in the present, he's a switch hitter. He's got plus bat-to-ball skills. His contact rates on the circuit were really impressive, especially for his age. He has the ability to handle both velocity and spin for his age, which gives some confidence in his skill set translating to the next level. Defensively, I think there's a chance that he sticks at shortstop and center field. Some of the other top prep shortstops in this class feel more likely to move off that position, whether it be someone like Ethan Holiday, who we can talk about next. But, Eli Willits, I think he's a really good contact hitter, someone that hopefully there's more power projection to dream on. He's got a 6'1" frame. Like I said, he's just 17 years old, so offensively there might be more potential in there than we initially realized. He seems to be the favorite to be selected by the Cardinals at that 5th overall spot. But, another guy that I think I'll at least mention, left-hand pitcher Jamie Arnold from Florida State. I think much like Willits, we talk about someone that is a player that fits some of the trends that the Cardinals have gone after in the draft recently. He's a low-launch pitcher. He stands at just 6'1", and that's another attribute the Cardinals have coveted in the draft in terms of their pitchers, which is interesting. Guys that are a little bit shorter, that have lower releases, and Arnold fits the bill. He's a low slot lefty. He gets above average extension, and he's got that flat approach angle fastball that the Cardinals seem to covet in the draft. And I think the calling card with him is his mid-80s sweeper. I think it's a pitch that, just due to the fact that he has that wide release, it plays even bigger than, the 11.6 inches of glove side movement that it has. It netted a whiff rate of 46.3% last year while holding opponents to just a 216 WOBA. So, Arnold is one of the top pitching prospects in this class. I think he fits, what the Cardinals seem to, target in the draft out of their pitchers. And, if there's one guy in this year's class that I think realistically will be available for the Cardinals at that spot that, I would love for them to pick, I think it's Jamie Arnold.
Yeah, I'm with you, and that's kind of what I've noticed and seen and what the projections say. It looks like, look, there's some good pitchers out there. Cade Anderson, Liam Doyle, those guys probably out off the board. I think the Cardinals would love to get, you mentioned an Ethan Holiday. I think the Cardinals would love to get him. I think he's probably off the board, right? So like you said, then it comes down to most likely the two guys the Cardinals will have to make a decision on. Jamie Arnold, who is the college lefty, like you said, fits them as far as a smaller guy. They love lefties, right? He's the safer pick. And then you have Eli Willits, the high school position player, very young, toolsy. Again, they love the young guys they can try to help mold, right? That's more of a riskier pick. So if you had to pick between the two that the Cardinals will choose, do you think they'd go with the safer pick or the riskier pick in Willits? What do you think?
I think there's been too much smoke on the Eli Willits front for me to just not believe in that. I think that the Cardinals certainly like the player a lot, and if he's available, I feel like he will be the pick ultimately. But at the same time, I think Jamie Arnold is very much still in the mix. And, this year, he was he's my top first-round target. And if history repeats itself, as the Cardinals the past 3 years heading into this year, they selected the player that I targeted with my I coveted with that pick. So if history repeats itself, I think the Cardinals might select Jamie Arnold, but it's seeming more likely that Eli Willits is the direction they'll go if he's available.
Yeah. Personally, I think I kind of mentioned that through email. I would rather get the pitcher. I like Arnold better personally, but I'm curious just for you. If you were making the pick, okay, is it Arnold or someone else? Who's basically, I guess, who's the top guys on your draft board?
Yeah, I think it would be Jamie Arnold for me. I think realistically speaking, I could see the Cardinals picking him, and he's right up on my draft board. I think, between him, Cade Anderson, and Liam Doyle, I don't think you can go wrong with one of the top three college lefties in this year's class. So I definitely would have Jamie Arnold as my, top realistic option for the Cardinals. But another name that I'd like to throw around is Mississippi prep shortstop JoJo Parker. I think that he would probably save you some money with the selection. It seems like he's in play for a lot of teams in the top 5 to 7 picks for an underslot selection. And JoJo Parker, he has one of the best hit tools among the whole high school shortstop class. I think you could make an argument it might be the best overall hit tool in the entire class. He ran a 97.3% zone contact rate during the summer showcase circuit, which was, one of the top marks over there. And, he pairs that with some impressive impact, too. It was a 25% hard hit rate. So I think that just from an offensive standpoint, JoJo Parker is someone that just lights my eyes. I think that this is someone that is going to hit at the next level. There are some questions about where he's going to play, where he fits best long term. He's a shortstop right now, but he's not necessarily the quick twitch athlete that you like to see at that position. I think more than likely he could move over to second or third base, but at the same time, he's I have more confidence in his bat working out at the next level than some of the other prep shortstops, which gives me more confidence in him just not entirely flaming out. So, I mean, he's another guy I'd like to throw around. And if they don't end up going with Arnold, let's say, their top four choices, whether it be a Cade Anderson, an Ethan Holiday, an Eli Willits, and Jamie Arnold are unavailable, I think JoJo Parker could come and play as a potential overslot pick at that 5th overall slot.
All right, I like that. I'm going to ask you about one other guy. Look, I could talk about Cade Anderson. I could talk about Ethan Holiday. But look, realistically, again, probably not going to be on the board with the Cardinals. So I'm going to move up to another guy that I think could be there, and a college shortstop, and Arquette. Any chance the Cardinals could potentially go that route with a big 6'5" shortstop, one of the better hitters in college? And the second part to my question, you kind of alluded to it as well, but as far as the bonus pool money and how they would allocate funds throughout the draft, how do you think that affects things as far as how the Cardinals could pick and choose guys? Would they, like you said, maybe they would choose a JoJo over that because maybe they could get him for a lower money pool. So how do you think the money factors in, and then could Arquette be a guy they could look at?
I haven't heard Iva Arquette's name, in discussion for the Cardinals at that 5 spot. That isn't coming from any inside sources, but just, reading the tea leaves based on all the mock drafts and the reporting. It doesn't seem like the Cardinals are crazy on that player at that 5 spot, but he is my top-ranked college position player in this year's class for what it's worth. It's not the highest top-end college hitter class. We're coming last year. There was a ton of talent in terms of the college position players. You look at a Travis Bazzana, a Charlie Condon, a Nick Kurtz already making waves at the major league level, Cam Smith, J.J. Weatherholt. There was a lot of college hitters in last year's class, where this year I would say it's a weakness, at least in terms of the top end strength. But, Iva Arquette is someone that I think he projects to hit for a lot of power at the next level. He's got an elite feel for the barrel. It's strong EVs all around, and with the launch angle optimization to support it too. Arquette is someone that I think will hit for power at the next level. The bat to ball skills I think are closer to average. There's nothing super glaring in terms of velocity or his ability to hit spin, but it's really a power-driven profile. And defensively, I was surprised by how he looked over at shortstop. He's a bigger guy. I think he's 6'5", but he moves awfully well there. And I think that he could stick up the middle, but if not, he has the athleticism to potentially move to a corner outfield or a third base. But yeah, I like Iva Arquette a lot. When you look at the Cardinals organization, it feels like they have a lot of left-handed bats. Iva Arquette would offer something that, they don't really have, and that's a right-handed thumper. So from that standpoint, I think it would make sense, but just haven't heard his name connected. And to touch on, the whole underslot situation, well, I think this year there isn't that crazy level high-end talent in this year's class. So if they were to save some money with a player that they thought was ranked similarly on their board, to give more flexibility with some of their later picks, as I mentioned at the start of the interview, the Cardinals will be making 4 selections on day 1. So they'll have 3 picks in between rounds 2 to 3. They'll be making their second round selection, which in the past couple of years, due to the Wilson Contreras and Sonny Gray signings, they haven't been able to pick in the second round, which is huge for them. And they also have a competitive balance round B pick. So between the second comp B and third pick, I think there could be, a lot of interesting players in play, and just having that added flexibility in terms of money would be valuable for sure. So I think it would make sense to save some money. I don't know if that's the direction the Cardinals will ultimately go if one of their true, top 4 talents in the class are available for them to pick. But it is interesting to think about in the scenario that, if the draft doesn't unfold the way the Cardinals want, could that be something they consider and they, allocate some of those funds to, the second comp B and third round pick where, you could shoot for multiple high-end, potential first-round talents as opposed to just one. So if that answers your question.
Yeah, and so let's move off the draft a little bit here. Kareem, again, Kareem Hawk with us, a host of Birds on the Farm, contributor there at Cardinals Prospects, and dealing with the Cards as well, so does a little bit of everything. But Kareem, I want to talk about the Cardinals farm system as a whole. Where do you see them stacking up with some other teams, in particular with the division? And look, and I know that the Cardinals you're not going to draft based on need, right? That it's not like the NFL, the NHL, things like that. But what is the biggest need with this system right now, in your opinion?
Yeah, as far as how they rank against some of those other, NL Central teams, I don't think their top-end talent matches with the Brewers. We're looking at, what Jacob Mizorowski is doing at the major league level right now. They've got a couple interesting teenage shortstops. Jesus Mate comes to mind. And, I don't think the Cardinals have that level of just top-end talent in their organization. And I would also say the Pittsburgh Pirates, Connor Griffin's looking like one of the top prospects in the game. He's an absolute tool shed. And they also have Bubba Chandler, who's one of the top pitching prospects in the game. So I'm not sure the top-end talent in the organization matches those two teams. But as far as, the Reds, the Cubs, I think they're closer to that sort of range. I think they're similar to those teams in terms of at least top-end talent. And overall, I think the Cardinals are middle of the pack, I would say, farm system right now, probably around that 15 to 20 range, I would assume. But it's hard to know for sure without, evaluating some of those other teams. I focus a lot on, the Cardinals organization, and I don't know every single prospect on, every other team, but yeah, I would assume they're a middle of the pack farm system overall.
Yeah, that makes sense. And one of the guys I wanted to talk to you about as well is J.J. Weatherholt. Obviously, a guy that they picked basically a year ago now, and he's starting to bang on the door of potentially making it to the majors, just moved up to AAA. So for J.J., when could the Cardinals potentially see him, in your mind, to the big leagues? Maybe early as late this year, next year? What do you think there? And then also, where's he going to play when he gets to the big leagues? Should the Cardinals start thinking about now maybe getting him work at other positions? Yeah,
I think that there's at least a possibility where I could see J.J. Weatherholt at the end of the year when he's not going to exhaust his rookie eligibility for next season. Let's say, the Cardinals are out of the race or maybe potentially in the race and they want to boost to their organization at the end of the season. I could see it as a possibility. J.J. Weatherholt's just impressed me, at every stop. In his AAA debut, he hit a triple and home run. He's just one of the more professional hitters that I've seen come through the system. He will always take a good at-bat. The pitch recognition is truly special. This is someone that stays within his zone and isn't going to expand if there's breaking pitches away outside of the strike zone. He's going to take them and draw a ton of walks. So Weatherholt really impresses me. I think that there's a level of maturity here that I think that I think he'll be ready for the major league level a little bit quicker than some others. Prospects that are more so power oriented, that might not have the best swing decisions and contact ability. So I think Weatherholt is in play to potentially get a chance to get a look at the end of the season. But I think more than likely we'll see him compete for a spot next year in spring training. I'd be surprised if he didn't make the team out of spring training next year. It'll be interesting to see what the Cardinals do in the off season as far as just opening up spots. Is it finally a time to move a Nolan Arenado if they're able to do so? And, as you talked about, where could J.J. Weatherholt end up? I think more than likely he stays on the infield. I haven't heard much chatter about him playing in outfield, but I wouldn't put it against him handling his own in the outfield. He's got the athleticism for it. The kid's just a gamer. It doesn't matter where you put him. He's gonna be a productive player, and we saw that throughout his collegiate career where he played 3 different positions, 3 consecutive seasons. So, love JJ Weatherholt. I think this is gonna be someone that is a big time contributor for this team next year, and it'll be interesting to see if he gets that shot at the end of the season. But I think more than likely we're looking at a 2026 debut early in the season.
All right, I want to play a little audio from last year. We're going to talk about the catching position for the Cardinals. We were discussing Ivan Herrera last year and talking about, okay, why aren't the Cardinals giving, him more of a shot? Well, kind of similar this year in some aspects. Now, obviously it sounds like because of some injuries, he's going to focus more on DH duties the rest of the way. But I wanted you to listen to this real quick from last year.
I understand how Pedro Pajes might fit the prototypical mold of a backup catcher more than Ivan Herrera, but I still think Herrera is a more valuable player, all things considered. People are fixating on the throwing ability, like I said. I do think that's something he's going to get better at, but I think he's a fine defensive catcher, to be honest.
All right, that was last year with Herrera. Look, I still think some of it is things with catching has been overblown. We've talked about it last year. Is Pedro Pajes really the guy? I mean, in my opinion, he's a backup guy. But look, Jimmy Crooks, Leonardo Bernal, Rainel Rodriguez, I mean, could they leapfrog him? I mean, I guess my question is, who is the catcher of the future for the Cardinals? Kareem, with all these guys coming up, I mean, again, Pajes, I know the organization likes him, but look, he's not a starter in my opinion. So what happens with the catcher position going forward?
Yeah, I don't think I'm as bullish on Herrera sticking at that catcher spot as I was last year. I think, he's taken a little bit of a step back in terms of his defense, and it doesn't seem like the Cardinals are awfully bullish on, his ability to stick there. We'll see what happens in the offseason. Could we see a position change? Could he end up in a corner outfield or first base? Wilson Contreras is still here, but if they ended up moving him, I don't know. I'd like to see the Cardinals extrapolate more value in there out of a young player that's looking like one of the best right-handed bats that's come through the organization than just slotting him in the DH spot. So it'll be interesting to see what they do on that end. As far as prospects in the system, I think Leonardo Bernal stands out to me as the guy I would say has the highest shot of being that everyday sort of catcher. I've been thoroughly impressed by the improvements that he's made this year with the bat. The bat to ball numbers have taken a step up. He's making more impactful contact in the air. He's getting off the ground a little bit more defensively. We talked about how Herrera might not have the strongest throwing arm. Well, Leonardo Bernal has gone down. He's put up some of the most impressive caught stealing numbers in the minor leagues the past few years. So I don't think we have that same sort of issue. Another guy, Jimmy Crooks is someone that is similar to Pedro Pajes in the fashion that, pitchers are going to absolutely love throwing to this guy. He does such a great job at just understanding a pitcher's strengths. We had Cooper Jerpy on our podcast last offseason, and, he raved about Jimmy Crooks and, said that, he's such a talented defensive catcher and one that really knows how to maximize a pitcher's strength. So he's another guy to throw around. But I think that Leonardo Bernal, from an overall standpoint, the offense, the defense, and the projectability for a guy that's still so young, my bet would be that, he'd be the next guy in line to be a potential everyday sort of catcher for the Cardinals organization. But at the same time, he's at Double-A, so I don't think we can say that with 100% confidence just yet, but really bullish on the player.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. I like Bernal a lot, but it makes you wonder, look, trade deadline, and again, off-season, maybe the Cardinals deal from their, excess, and as far as their catching depth, we'll see. It'll be interesting when this trade deadline comes and passes. But a lot of things for the Cardinals to work on, and obviously we'll see how the new regime decides to do things. So we're excited for the draft coming up again tomorrow, and thanks so much for your analysis. Ran out of time, Kareem, but I really appreciate you joining us today and giving some good information.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Rusty. Can't wait to do this again next year.
Yeah, let's make it a yearly thing, right? That'd be awesome. All right, thanks, Kareem. Have a good one, man.
You too.
All right, that is Kareem Hawk. Appreciate him. Good stuff from Kareem. He's a very informative guy. He wants to get his takes out there, so appreciate that. So just ran along some other questions I wanted to get to, but just ran out of time here. But thanks to Kareem again. Again, you can check him out, host on Birds on the Farm podcast, also Dylan with the Cards podcast at different times. And then he's a contributor at thecardinalsprospects.com, focuses on the Cardinals prospects. So we're going to talk more baseball coming up. Go to the Wayback Machine. The last time the Cardinals had a number 5 pick. We'll talk about that next. Welcome back, SEMO Scramble on SEMO ESPN. Once again, thanks for joining us. And thanks to Kareem Hawk for joining us as well, talking about the draft. So we'll see. Do they get a pitcher? Maybe Jamie Arnold, Eli Willits. Those are the 2 names it looks like on paper the Cardinals have an option to take. Again, my pick would be the pitcher and Arnold. Not that he's a safer pick, but Cardinals need pitching. And Willits is a guy that, he'd probably be 4 years away. Maybe he's a stud. Maybe he's not. The Cardinals picked a guy they thought was going to be a stud in Jordan Walker in 2020. And look, I'm not saying that I'm done with him, but I don't think he's the guy that they thought he was. So, again, we'll see. It's hard, right? It's a hard thing to do, and they're going to have to make it. This is a transformative pick. They've talked about it. And the last time they had a pick of this magnitude was in 1998. Last time they picked 5th, the St. Louis Cardinals. J.D. Drew went at number 5. He signed for $7 million. He was actually picked 2nd in 1997. He went back to school, and $7 million the next year is what he signed for. By the way, in that draft, Pat Burrell was the number 1 pick by the Phillies. Okay, you had Mark Mulder for the A's, pick number 2. Of course, he ended up being a Cardinal at some point. Corey Patterson, who never worked out for the Cubs. He was never a guy they thought he was going to be just a role player, really. Then Jeff Austin, do you remember that name? Yeah, for the Royals. He didn't pan out of Stanford. And then Drew at number 5. Other guys in that draft, you had Sean Burrows at 9, Jeff Weaver at 14, and then Brad Lidge at 17. Those are some notable names later on in the draft that year, 1998. But one of the highlights from J.D. Drew, the 2001 National League Division Series against the Diamondbacks. Of course, the Cardinals lost. Diamondbacks went on to win the World Series, but this was a big moment in Game 5 of that series.
Drew lines one into right field. Well hit. Back at the wall. Tie game. J.D. Drew has tied it with 2 out in the 8th.
He one-handed that over the fence. I think it was a hanging splitter. Watch the swing. With one hand, Drew ties it.
J.D. Drew the home run off of Kurt Schilling. That was pretty cool. J.D. Drew. All right. So remember, though, Drew helped get Adam Wainwright. So keep that in mind, and even for this year as well, you got to draft the best available player. It's not just need. Again, I would love for the Cardinals to get a pitcher, but you got to get the best available trailer. If Willits is the best guy on the board, then get him. You can always trade the asset for another asset down the road that can help you. So keep that in mind as well regarding the draft. All right. This day in history, This day in history. July the 12th, 1955. 1955. This date in history. What happened? It was an all-star game. 1955.
Dan Musial is first up for the Nationals in their half of the 12th. Here comes Sullivan's first pitch. And there it goes. A home run over the right field screen. It's the fourth all-star homer in Musial's career, and by far the most important. The National League wins an uphill battle 6-5. The National League now has won 5 of the last 6 of these midsummer spectacles. Musial's teammates gather at the plate to greet the hero. The St. Louis Cardinal star is jubilant over the victory. And 45,314 spectators have seen a never-to-be-forgotten long afternoon of baseball. Just a small portion of the many millions of fans who watch our national game of baseball.
All right, so that was the moment there. Stan Musial with a walk-off homer to win the All-Star game for the National League. It only happened 3 times. 3 times in history there has been a walk-off home run in an All-Star game. Can you name them? I gave you one. 1955, Stan Musial. One happened before, one happened after. Okay? Think about it for a second. Think about it. How about Ted Williams in 1941? Ted Williams with a walk-off homer to win it for the American League. 1941, Ted Williams. All right, one other. Now, some of you might remember this one. It happened back in 2007. 2007, Ichiro Suzuki had a walk-off homer. But those are the only 3 times it's happened in history. And again, Stan Musial, this date, 1955, able to get a walk-off. So that is pretty awesome. Now, what will happen this year? Can the National League finally can the National League finally get a win? I don't know. Again, 70 years from today. 70 years. Stan Musial with the walk-off. All right, let's give you an update on the farm. That's the next thing we're going to talk about. We talked about J.J. Weatherholt a little bit with Kareem Hawk. He just got moved up to AAA, okay? And had a great season at AA. He sat down with the Memphis media for a quick interview. Here's a snippet of that, okay? What has the journey been like, JJ, from getting drafted nearly a year ago to where you are now in AAA?
It's been unbelievable. I was a pretty low radar guy coming out of high school. I was fortunate enough to have a really good college career at West Virginia. And, as you said, got drafted basically a year ago. And just been able to have some success in the minor leagues. And it's great to be in that spot and to have some success. But I still think, there's obviously a lot of stuff I got to get better at and continue to grow out as a player to become the player that I want to be. But this is all just part of a dream that I'm chasing and just getting better each day. Focus is just to develop here and continue to polish the bat, and especially just get better at shortstop and working different infield spots, second, probably some third base at some point. Just continue to grow as an infielder and really develop there, and the rest will take care of itself.
All right, J.J. Weatherholt there. What did it sound like? Again, this has been a couple of days now, but him in his first game at AAA is what it sounded like.
That one's hit deep towards center field. That ball is gone! In his first game at AAA, J.J. Weatherholt homers to center field. 424 feet dead center. He has a triple and a homer.
How about that? How about that start at AAA? And again, Weatherholt's going to be at the Futures game today. You can watch it on MLB Network at 3 o'clock. All right. Cape Catfish, all right, they played last night, and it was the Jorts Classic. The Jorts Classic last night. The Catfish getting the victory, final score of 6-1. second annual Jorts Classic. This is what it sounded like last night right here on SEMO ESPN.
This one down the right field line. This should get a run home. Down it goes. Back, and it is gone. Kept on carrying in opposite field. Home run. Cooper Newsom touches them all. High fly ball to left. This one's hit pretty well on a rope, and it is caught in left. Are you kidding me? A home run robbery in left field by Nathan Bowie. A towering fly to left. Bowie timing his jump and came down with it. What a play. Another 1-2. Swing and a miss. And that'll do it. Catfish in the books. Get the victory. And the Catfish, for the second straight season, are winners of the Jorts Baseball Classic.
Fun night last night there at Kappa Hall. And Cooper Newsom with a 3-run homer. You had the robbery there, Nathan Bowie. That was a fun game to call last night. But again, in jean shorts, they get the win last night. Second time they've done that. Last year, now this year. They play again today at home against the Thrillbillies. Make sure and join us, 6:35 for the first pitch, 6:20 for the pregame show against the Marion Thrillville Thrillbillies. It'll be a fun game tonight as well. So including tonight, folks, only 9 home games left in the regular season, rounding out by the end of the month. So time's starting to wind out. If you haven't gone to a game, you better check it out. It's ending soon. All right, Babe Ruth, Missouri State Tournament Championship Day today at Hillhouse Park at 10 a.m. And 2 teams going to be facing off, the GSR Elite and the Aces, the Grippin Seams Revelers and the Aces. So GSR Elite won 25-0 over the Jumbos yesterday. It was the Aces, the 18U team, that won 14-10 over the Perfectos. So the championship today, GSR, because they've been in the winner's bracket and they have the edge there, they only need the 1 win. All right, so double elimination. They just need the 1 win, and they will have the state tournament outright. Now, the Aces, they would have to win both games. So they win the first game, they force the second game that would be necessary, but they would have to win both for them to get in. So the Aces and the Revelers is going to be fun here today against. That's getting ready to start right now in Charleston. Don't forget the Midwest Plains Regional is going to be at Hillhouse Park in Charleston. The Squirrels, who got knocked out of the state tournament, since they're hosting the regional tournament, they have an opportunity to still make it. But they got to win. They need a win to advance, and it's coming up next week, July 16th through the 20th. So that's coming up at Hillhouse Park. All right, couple last things I wanted to get to before we finish things up. MLB All-Star Game. Okay? Look, there's always going to be snubs. There's always going to be guys you feel like, all right, you should make it, but they don't. Typically, there's not too many guys you say, wow, they shouldn't have made it, but they did. Here's one, in my opinion, that is the case. Jacob Mizorowski. He was added to the roster from the Milwaukee Brewers. He's a rookie. He's a flamethrower. He's an exciting guy. He throws at 100 miles an hour. Has good breaking stuff. He's, highly touted prospect for the Brewers. He has 5 starts in the big leagues. 5 starts. That's it. 5 starts. It's the fewest number of games played to ever be selected to an All-Star game. So he was selected yesterday after the Cubs pitcher and their lefty that couldn't make it. So they added him, Mizorowski, to the All-Star. Fewest number of starts since Paul Skeens, who had 11 last year. So this year, Mizorowski, again, been good. He's 4-1 with a 2.81 ERA, just 25 innings with 33 Ks. Good, but 5 starts, only 25 innings. Okay, here's a guy in Sonny Gray, 9-3 record, a 3.51 ERA, 105 innings, He's thrown 75-plus innings, or 80 more innings than Mizorowski. 113 Ks. Maybe him? Okay, he's pitching Sunday. Okay, he can't. Okay, whatever. How about Phil Maton? He's played in 35 games. He has 34 innings. More time than Mizorowski. On a better ERA. 1.85 ERA. And a couple of saves. Phil Maton's not good enough? Are you kidding me? Okay, how about Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies? 7-2 record. 107 innings and 2/3. 116 strikeouts and a 2.59 ERA. Again, Mizorowski 2.81, Sanchez 2.59. And again, I mean, we're talking 80-plus more innings. Why is Jacob Mizorowski added to the roster? Well, because he's exciting. Because guys want to see him. People want to see him. Okay, but he's not deserving. You going to water down the All-Star game to add this guy? Is he going to make it next year? Probably. I mean, he's a good player. But what do you think about the other guys that are there? What are they thinking? What is this guy doing here? He's just been here a month. Been in the bigs a month, and he's an All-Star? Are you kidding me? Look, I understand that there's guys that, like Sonny Gray, right, is pitching on Sunday, and he's going to be unavailable anyway. But you still give him the nod and give him the, okay, you deserve, or Maton, right? Maton pitched a third of an inning last night. You think it's telling me he can't pitch or can't be available for the All-Star game? Again, some guys turn it down. I get it. But, again, to me, it's not a great look for the game. I don't like that. There should be maybe a limit. Maybe they need to start that now. There need to be a limit of at least 10 games. Can we at least get 10 games before you get a sniff at the All-Star game? So, anyway, those are my thoughts there. Last thing before we go, I wanted to get my thoughts on the St. Louis Blues broadcast news. Oh, boy. I know we're running out of time here, but John Kelly is moving on. The St. Louis Blues decided, they just announced, they're going to do a simulcast model, okay, with 101 ESPN, their broadcast partner on the radio, and then FanDuel Sports Network on TV. But they're going to simulcast it with the two announcers of Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. Great announcers. They do a great job. I love listening to them on 101. And actually, we have them here. We carry them here on SEMO ESPN. We're an affiliate of them. So it's great. But John Kelly's a Hall of Famer, and he hasn't dipped off. He's still really, really good. Darren Pinger was a guy that was with them a couple of years ago, and he kind of got pushed out as well, and he was really good. John Kelly is a St. Louisan. His dad broadcasted the Blues. Okay, if you know of Joe Buck and Jack Buck, it's John Kelly and his dad as well. I mean, it's the same, similar. Father-son that have followed in each other's footsteps and been really, really good. John Kelly didn't deserve this. It was a bad look for the Blues. It's sad, and I understand there's been some other teams that have done it. And look, the Blues came out and said, "Well, it's not about the money. It's not a." Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's all about saving dollars. The FanDuel Sports Network is not in a good place. We've talked about that. They had to file for bankruptcy. The Cardinals and the Blues decided to come together and to have them on for another short agreement, but they're not in a good spot. And the regional networks, maybe at some point, it's going to go away. Who knows? But this is not a good move. At a professional level, they should not do it. Eric, Sean, and I both understand what it's like to simulcast games. And in part, look, right now I'm doing it with Catfish. I broadcast games for the Prospect League Network TV network. Every home game. I do that along with simulcasting with SEMO ESPN. I'm doing it. And it's not easy, and it's hard to give a good product to try to blend the both. Look, I'm not a professional, but I understand it from that perspective, and I understand that the production, that the level that it's going to be at is not going to be the same. It's not. It's not going to be the same, and it's frustrating. It's sad, and it's sad that a legend like that you shouldn't just push away because of money purposes. Again, I mean, if you wanted to talk to him and be like, hey, can we get you a pay decrease a little bit, maybe? But I don't know. It's a bad look. The Blues should pony up in the organization, if nothing else, and say, okay, we're going to pay your salary. We're going to figure it out. But again, it's a bad look. I don't like it and frustrating, but it is what it is. Moving on, and I hope John Kelly the best. And it sounds like he's interested to still want to do this in the future. So maybe he'll get on with another team. Maybe he'll get on with a national broadcast. If he will, he's going to have some success, and he's going to be good. So we'll see. But those are my thoughts on the Blues as well. Normally I'm very positive on the Blues, not in this aspect. All right. Hope you had fun talking about baseball and the draft and with Kareem Hawk. Appreciate him, and excited for that coming up as far as the All-Star game as well. Again, Catfish tonight. Again, big Babe Ruth tournament coming up next week. Make sure and tune in to KSIM with Eric Sean when the Squirrels play. Check into that. Next week, we'll be talking about the SEMO Ball Awards. SEMO Ball Awards coming up on Friday. That's going to be fun, and we hope to have some athletes on next Saturday, so that's the plan there. So high school action is what we're going to talk about next week. So, folks, have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us. Take care. It's the SEMO Scramble on SEMO ESPN. Rusty out.
You've been listening to the SEMO Scramble on SEMO ESPN. Tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 for a dash of hometown pride right here on the SEMO Scramble. Yes, don't miss the latest news, scores, and stories that matter most to local sports enthusiasts. From the Boot Heel and beyond. Right here on SEMO ESPN 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, the SEMO ESPN app, and at SEMOESPN.com.